Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are going to fix the Alchemist,
Yeah,
the
all those
Alchemist
problems. We're going to solve
Artificer.
every single one of them flawlessly. There's going to be zero errors in our thinking. It's going to be a perfect implementation the first time we do it. There will be no flaws, no
Absolutely.
need to do revisions. Obviously, it's just perfect. Why are we fixing Alchemist, Bob?
Because it sucks.
Because it's
Let's
really bad.
wait, I guess that's probably the best place to start. Why does this need fixing?
Okay,
What are the problems, the fundamental problems with the Alchemist Artificer?
okay. So the first important thing to note: the Artificer subclasses do almost all of the heavy lifting in defining what makes their subclass tick. In the case of Battlesmith and in the case of Armorer, that's extra attack. They are martial hybrids. They are true half-casters like Paladin, like Ranger. Because they get extra attack, they are basically getting the needed tools to keep up in the mid-tiers while getting their infusions, while getting cool new things to do. I think Artillerist is sort of a little tier down, but it's in the same category, right? Where you're getting a defined play pattern using these cool weapons that expand as you go, that sort of give you your core combat, what you do. Alchemist gets none of that. Alchemist gets a once per rest kind of feature where you throw a fun elixir and you can spend spell slots to throw more of them. And they're random and pretty crap. The level 5 feature that is supposed to be your big subclass sort of defining how you're going to continue the game gives you a bonus to hit points and damage on spell rolls whenever you're a half caster, which is atrocious. It's terrible. It is so unbelievably what it's like. You stack that next to extra attack and you laugh in its face. Like it's horrendous. It's awful. The rest of what it sort of gets are these cutesy little features that give you access to pretty mediocre spells, and most importantly, out of all of it, you miss the whole of the point of being an alchemist. If I'm an alchemist character, you're envisioning an alchemist, Bob, what comes to mind? What is it like jumping to your fantasy alchemist like goals? What do you want to be doing?
Turning lead into gold. I, I don't know. Working in a lab, mixing stuff. I don't know what answer you're looking for here.
Fair enough. A lot of the common fantasies of what alchemists look like involve potions being thrown willy-nilly, about getting cool effects and using the artificer kit to make those potions, right?
Okay,
If
yes.
you were to tell me the artificer was supposed to get an alchemist subclass, if it were like directly attached to 5th edition from the books, I would have expected there to be easy ways for you to learn how to craft the uncommon and rare potions, right? Like that's just
Sure.
a natural thing this should be able to do, but it sure can't, right? So to me, that would be an easy place to start. The next place that I would explore is, why am I not blowing more things up? Why am I not throwing caustic fires that light things up? There's a Plague Doctor from Darkest Dungeon, I think, is a really easy fantasy to look to for Alchemist, where you've got this masked person that's got a bunch of baubles and concoctions of toxins and poisons, and they can heal, but most importantly, what they do in combat is they throw casks of alchemist fire at people's feet. They make clouds of poisonous gas with bombs that, coat the area in sickness that makes people's skin rot, right? Like, the
Okay.
Alchemist has a lot of fantasy push and pull that you can work with here that this subclass just wholly misses.
All right, I think we're headed in the right direction here. I like a lot of what you just said.
Sweet.
And yeah, this does not deliver on any of that.
Sure doesn't. The
So
Alchemist. Go for it.
no, I was just gonna get in starting at 3rd level, but what were you saying?
Yeah, that's where I was about to start.
Okay, good.
The 3 features you get are tool proficiency, alchemist spells, and experimental elixir at 3rd level. And if we're looking to sort of define this as a alchemist, we want out the gate you to immediately get something cool that delivers on your fantasy. So artillerist, for example, they get this bonus action flamethrower or force cannon or cool little warding thing. The armorers get a giant super powered magical armor set that can do some things. With Battlesmith gets a whole big robot buddy that runs around with them and kills stuff. You get 2 bonus spells, Healing Word, which is pretty good, honestly, and Ray of Sickness, which is not. But, okay, they all can't be winners. We look at the tool proficiencies like everyone else does. Okay, sure. You get Experimental Elixir, which is when you finish a long rest, you can produce an Experimental Elixir and an empty flashy touch. You don't have to pick what it does because it's experimental, so you roll a d6 to get a random effect. And that potion you can use, first level spells to make more if you want to, but otherwise you get 1 per long rest, and then 2 at 6th level and 3 at 15th level. Which is a joke, because these are 1st level spell effects. This is the feature that most needs overhauled, more or less removed in my vision. I don't think that there's much worth salvaging an experimental elixir if our objective is to create someone who's good at brewing potions and like has cool means of an effectiveness here. What do you think?
I think how experimental is it if it's only limited to 6 potions?
Oh, 100% agree. And the effects vary from you go 10 feet faster to you get +1 AC. Riveting!
I don't know how if it's a fix to just make a huge list of random potions, but that's one direction you could go.
You could.
But I feel like, as you experiment, the point of experimenting is to learn. You should be able to more reliably make potions that you want to make.
Agreed. I'm a little bit astonished that you can't make potions that you want to make with the subclass. Like, you just straight up cannot do it.
Yeah.
It's always random, even at 20th level. That's ridiculous to me. So my future vision of this, viewers at home, you'll see this on the Caverns Creatures site, some kind of version of this. I'm seeing this as a multiple usage ability where either you're rolling on a table to get multiple interesting effects or you're selecting on a table some interesting effects. You could even consult the existing potions that exist in the Dungeon Master's Guide and use those as just things you get access to.
Right.
That give you at least the feeling of being an alchemist out the gate. I actually think we can do better, though. I don't think just like making potions is quite enough for what this is, especially given that we're trying to define this as its subclass, right? This is supposed to give you what you're doing in combat. So I would probably want here some kind of throwable, scalable potion, kind of like a cantrip, that will give you area of effect damage or some kind of feeling of, using Alchemist Fire effectively that you can throw as a bonus action. So you could have this consistent damage source as a ranged spell-like, caster-like character, right? That we can consider like close to Eldritch Blast. If you're an alchemist and tinkering with your potions, I'd love for this to be customizable. I'd love to see like you can get wider area of fire with one of your picks. You could get wider, longer line. Maybe it explodes in a bigger space. Maybe it adds poison. Maybe it does fire damage. Having a customizable damaging cantrip-like ability that can scale at the rate that the other subclasses do is what I would look to start with from this point. I would look to start with, you can brew potions using magic items, maybe, and you would definitely get an in-combat, consistent, damaging kind of potion effect.
Yeah, that does not sound unreasonable at all, and it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Seems a good place to start, right?
Yeah, we could have a long conversation about each of those effects, but
we could. We can. Do you want to? We're building it right now, live for the viewers at home, Bob. What effects would you want to see? If you're making your own potions, if you're blowing people up, what would you want those potions to do?
Blow them up. I'm thinking you got me thinking Alchemist Fire, so like it'd be sticky, like a fire that does residual damage on following turns. It takes
napalm,
some amount of effort to put this out.
That's sweet idea.
That's cool. But yeah, like it doesn't have to be fire. It could be, like you said, it could be poison gas.
Acid maybe erode away at their skin.
Yeah. Or
that could be sick.
Damage their armor.
Yeah.
That's maybe. I'm
in. Sounds cool to me. I also think like one thing that we noted that we like didn't like about this, right, is there's no ways to get consistency, right? Like there isn't a way to sort of make your own potions and have them do what you expect them to do. So I also think like I would like this to have relatively early on some method of making the existing potions, right? Is that unreasonable for me to say, right? Like is it too bananas to somehow have this like a once per rest kind of feature, being able to make a potion of healing, being able to make a potion of giant strength or something like that effect? Like how busto is that sound to you?
See, that's something that could evolve as well. Like at 3rd level, all right, you get your experimental elixir. At what's the next one? 5th level, you can either, you have a choice, maybe choose 3 potions. You can make these reliable, or you can roll random, keep experimenting. Next, 9th level, you expand your pool a little bit more. of the ones that you can reliably create, and so on.
Cool. So I think what that sort of lines up to me, right, is we have this core mechanic of how you function in combat, your bombs, if you will, sort of your bread and butter. You have these alchemical vials that you can use, like Alchemist fire, that can use like acid, that can engage with combat, that you have some amount of customization over. And on the side of that, you have a utility consumable feature that can be random, that you can use and expand over time to get a wider slew of some niche little one-off potion effects that you can consistently regain later, or you can pick from later, or you can start by being random, some little bit of extra kind of potion-y goodness, right? That's where we're kind of at here.
Yeah, it's something to show that you're actually learning as you progress.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to the 5th level then. So Alchemical Savant, is there anything to salvage here? This says, whenever you cast a spell using your alchemist supplies, you get a bonus to the one roll of the spell. That is, the roll must be restoring hit points or dealing acid, fire, necrotic, or poison damage, and it's equal to your int mod. This feature just doesn't at all come with the fantasy of Alchemist, right? Like, we can just throw this entire thing into the trash. We don't.
Wait, I'm reading this again. Masterful command of magical chemicals, enhancing the healing. Whenever you cast a spell using alchemist supply. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think this one could go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, middling, powerful, boring as sin, works on a half-caster sheet, so it's only getting worse from here, right into the dumpster. There's no reason to do this. If you're going to have a magic-based Artificer subclass, it has to be closer to full casting than what this offers you. This means your healing word does a bonus +6 instead of +3. Huzzah. No, thank you. Instead, what this desperately needs is something akin to extra attack. This needs to be a big combat boost. This needs to be your effectiveness at fighting, and your effectiveness in combat to some nature needs to be dramatically improved. So at our starting point we've got these bombs. That seems like the next easy step to me, is either throwing multiples of them or enhancing them on a scalar point so that they're going to be doing more effective things in combat here. We could even have it maybe like they do a little bit more damage, not so much that it's akin to extra attack, but you're also, those other potions you're making, maybe some of them are closer to 3rd level spells. Maybe some of them are closer to these one-time use spell-like effects that work with your potion. So you can have like a Revivify potion, you can have a Fireball potion, you can have somewhat closer to the full caster fantasy that doesn't necessitate, you actually having spell slots. What do you think?
All right, yeah, you could what about in addition to straight up damage, you tack on a condition.
So we could do like, you keep building onto them here, like you're adding
Right.
They get the damage scales with level, and then at 5th level you can get the poison condition, you can get the blinding condition, you can get these other things that you can mix and match in your potions. That sounds sweet. I love that idea. And also, like, definitely lets you feel like you're brewing and tinkering your own potions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can swap it out every once in a while. That'd be cool.
I also had an idea for another idea for the experimental elixir. It'd be fun to have potions that have like, it's like 2 potions in one. They don't always work well together, but it's like fly and fireball. I don't know. you can fly, but you also explode. I don't know. It's there's fun to be had there.
Sure.
But go on.
And that's a whole other like little beast to tackle, right? Is like really diving into experimental elixirs, letting you double dip to say you can roll twice and combine both effects. Maybe it's even like down the road, maybe like our 9th level feature is whenever you're making these custom elixirs these rolling for them. If you roll for them, you can keep either effect or combine them both, or you could pick one. That could be a cool little incentive, right? To want to roll for the variation of elixirs while also not making you forced to take +10 speed at level 13, right? Like, that seems like a really sweet idea that we should definitely staple somewhere to this, because that sounds really fun. Potentially really busto, but also potentially disastrous. And that's kind of like, if players want to lean into that randomness, absolutely, that would be a way I'd want them to do it. That sounds like it's right up your alley.
Yeah. All right, well, back to Alchemical Savant. Did you have anything, any ideas there?
I would say the easiest way to progress from this point is allowing multiple bomb throws, And that will shape how these bombs can be powerful, right? So I like the idea that you've got these area of effect attacks. I like the idea that you are getting extra attack here, but your extra attacks where weapon attacks are doing, 2d6 plus greatsword damage or whatever, yours are going to be a little bit less damage, but a more conditional area, closer to spellcasting, a little bit further, like walking that line between spellcasting and attacks. Function, easy to use extra attack as a way to scale it without that much thought, and you can get some cool little conditions and stuff in here, but not necessarily doing the crazy damage that some extra attacks could do. That's where I would probably land with this, while also doing like improving blind, maybe adding extra customization effects. That's probably what this fifth level feature should be to me.
We talked about acid, we talked about poison, fire, of course,
I would do
but
all the conditions. Why not cold?
oh yeah, sure. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking more Alchemist fantasy. I was thinking there could be a cool little like mini web as well,
That sounds really sweet.
like an
I think that definitely
extremely
fits.
sticky potion.
That it's comfortably into the experimental elixir kind of stuff, right? Where you're brewing potions from this list. A potion of web goo is exactly what you want. I know how much you love web.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's pop over to 9th level. Is there anything worth saving here? So restorative reagents. Whenever a creature drinks an experimental elixir, it gains temporary hit points equal to 2d6 plus your mod. You can cast Lesser Restoration without spending a spell slot without preparing a spell, provided you use your components as a spellcasting focus, and you can do that a number of times equal to your mod. Do you want to use either of these features ever? Like 2d6 bonus temporary hit points?
Creature, not at 9th level.
What did we remember that Lesser Restoration video we did?
How long ago was that?
A while, but the general gist of it is most of the time you're better off letting someone save out of their condition than spending your action ending their condition and spending a spell slot on it, right? Yeah, you're a 9th level character and you're ending blinded conditions. No thanks. I'm not spending my action and touching you to do that. I'm just not. And that's what this requires you do. So, like, it would just be the experimental elixirs can give some temp HP. No thanks. Instead, what if we just scaled up these experimental elixirs in other cool ways, or added a different table, or did your cool combining thing? That could be fun.
Yeah, I guess any of our ideas, they could either, be gradual improvements or just replacements for higher level features. But is there anything you can think of that would make, that would keep it restorative reagents, but, good? No.
I mean, so I would say this maybe would look like. So I think what this feature sort of touches on is your potions always have a positive boon, right? Like your experimental elixir does this thing where it's always giving 2d6 plus mod temp HP. I think what I would say from that is creatures would get some kind of boon when consuming your potions. That makes them a lot more forced to be supportive, though, and it makes the damaging ones that I'm envisioning also being able to be options for your experimental elixir option. Like, that makes those does not function with it. I necessarily love that. Still, if you want to do like a supportive alchemist thing, I could see restorative reagents being a creature that drink any of your potions regain a set number of hit points. That seems like it'd be entirely within reason, especially since you're already limited to how many you've got. Temp HP could be a way to do it. Maybe it's like you heal, and if you're at max, you get temp HP. That could be something you stack onto this. I'm more inclined to like give you more or different interesting effects, adding on to what you could already do, expanding your potion pool to give you lots of little things to tinker with as a person that's like creating these experimental, uncertain, cool little bottles and vials of abilities and stuff. I'm much more into giving you a wider selection. But if you wanted to have a feature like restorative reagents, I think it probably looks more like you get this on top of new options. All of your potions are universally better, and you also get more options for them. You also get more of them, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, I'm not married to the name of the feature, so we could do something else.
Yeah, I think the easiest, like the sort of shell we worked out here, right, is we have alchemists get a customizable bomb, the alchemist bomb, we'll call it temporarily, right? And that has a bunch of sub little features that you can mix and match to make your own customizable bombs that are going to be roughly at the power level in between a first level and second level spell, probably somewhere along that range, to help them keep up with full casters, help them keep up with martial characters. That's sort of what we're looking at. And they scale as the game progresses to eventually look more like third level spells around 7th, 8th levels, closer to fourth level spells around like, 13th, 14th, 15th level. And we got these cool little customizable pools, and as you expand, you could add maybe more to these bombs, more to these things. Alongside that, we've got these experimental elixirs, this pool of potions that you're sort of cultivating and getting better at and adding into a list that you can pick from, or maybe that you can, roll on and get some cool effects here. I think this is definitely where we take to your inspiration and say you roll twice on the table and you can choose one, either, or both. That seems like a really interesting place to have this improvement be. But otherwise, I do think this could be just a fine place for more new experimental additions to your bombs. Extra uses for them seems like a fine place to stick here. A new sort of tier of cool abilities to stack onto your bombs. Maybe now your bombs you can teleport to wherever they explode at. Maybe that you can use them for a couple other different things to add some needed utility here. There could be a lot of fun to say, like, this ninth level feature could just be, you have a new pool of utility bombs that you get, right? You get a web bomb like you suggested. Maybe you get a teleportee bomb. Maybe you get a bunch of other different nifty things. I think this could be a level that you expand and add a new resource, or just expand out the base resource. I'm honestly okay with either idea. What are your thoughts?
Not many. You just spat out a lot of thoughts at me, and I'm processing those.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't really have anything revolutionary that pops into mind for this level, but yeah, like you said, there's always the option of expanding on what we've already done.
That's what that's what a subclass should be doing.
Right? Yeah.
Is you get a thing that you do, and as you level, you increment how powerful that thing can be. And in this case, it's feeding people healing potions and throwing explosives. It's that fun dichotomy of, I've got a little bit of poison, and it's the the snake healing thing. It's like, oh, we use poison for good kind of deal, but you can also use poison for poison. So I think that this is a perfectly reasonable place just to keep expanding things. Now, this is the most interesting point that I want to talk about, and that's our 15th level capstone feature. Because currently, you get resistance to acid and poison damage and immune to poison condition, and you can cast Greater Restoration or Heal once without expending a spell slot. Which I am like snore. Heal is a big chunk of hit points at least. That's a 6th level spell that you get a 15th level as your capstone. Clerics just get that for being a cleric, like 3 levels ago. So I don't necessarily love. Yeah, at level 11 they get access to 6th level spells. Oh boy, this off. It's terrible. But this is our opportunity to do something cool, right? So we've gotten 15 levels in the class. We've gotten these expanding, auto-scaling, sort of growing potions that we're keeping up in the general attack sphere, general spell casting sphere. At this point, we probably should be throwing bombs that are a little bit better than the base extra attack that our other classes are getting access to. So what's our capstone look like? What is the apotheosis, the pinnacle alchemist feature supposed to be?
Fireball bombs? I don't know. That's
just grenade launcher.
Yeah, I was just thinking a new way to. Well, you already suggested teleporting, so launching them isn't really a step up from there.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking like this could be an opportunity to introduce some like a 7th level or 8th level spell-ish like effect of potion, where you can like brew from a specific table one of these cool spell-like abilities that you can use, right? And I could even see like letting the scale at 17th level, so you get 2 of them, and then you have like 7th level spell slots-ish. That's kind of where I would go with it. Like, get these super potions, these powerful, splashy effects that someone drinks and their strength becomes 24 or something, right? Look to the potions table, right? You can make very rare potions. That's like kind of what I would expect a level 15th alchemist to be able to do, right?
That's actually that's not a bad idea. The different tiers here. 3rd level, you make common potions. 5th level, rare. 9th level, very rare. 15th, they have what's
legendary potions?
Legendary potions, yeah.
They don't, but you missed uncommon, so it's fine. We can do common, uncommon, rare, very rare. And that works out with like potions. The problem is like the very rare potions are like potions of invisibility, which is just invisibility for an hour, which is just a 2nd level spell. So like,
it was an idea.
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
Spitballing here.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
absolutely.
tiers of power. I mean,
it's also, well, hold on. I just want to point out quickly that a potion of mind control is on the same tier as potion of invisibility, which I think is funny. Anyway, continue.
I mean, we're at 15th level here, and you know, like you always say, we want to be competing with full casters and power levels, and yeah, so big badass potions.
Yeah, I
But
think that's the natural finale for this, right? I would say
yeah,
like one cool new big badass potion that you can pick from a list. And then you get this other big finale improvement to your bombs that adds like a more consistent effect. Maybe you can use the conditions more often. Maybe you can get extra little things with it. I think those two things paired together will make it so you always have something cool to do, and you also get a upper level spell, basically, right? Something that does a splashy, cool, unique effect to your subclass that shows, yeah, I am the best at making these potions. I can make your, for a minute, I can make your strength 30, right? Like, I would love to see really cool potion-based boons that you could give out to your party that's like, all right, Barbarian, I know your AC is 20, don't worry. This gives you a flat plus 10 to your strength. Go in. Get him, champ. Like, that's the kind of thing I'd want to see here, right? If I'm going to be throwing them and doing my own bombs, if I'm supporting my party at all, there's going to be some cool, big, splashy support options here, right?
sure,
Super potions, if you will.
right.
Not greater
You are.
restoration. That's not a super potion.
Keep the name Chemical Mastery.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect name for it. As long as you
Yeah.
can actually show some cool mastery of things that aren't things that a cleric's been doing for 4 levels.
Yeah.
Right? I think we can even probably keep resistance to acid and poison damage. Why not? That seems like another thing that we can keep stable on here. I don't give a crap about it.
Sure.
All right. So that's what we got. This is our revised Alchemist. This is us talking through the process, doing our thoughts. Viewers at home, you can see a version of this that I have drafted up on Bob's site on Caverns Creatures.
It'll
Yeah.
be in the links below in the description. Yeah, but what do you think? Have we fixed the Alchemist?
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts down in the comments.
Read the subclass, play it, tell us how it went, and then be like, yeah, they did fix the Alchemist, or no, those two idiots just spitballed and made a horribly unbalanced monster option that's so busted it can't see play at any table ever. I'd also love to hear those comments.
As would I. All right. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.